What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lifestyle of Gold TV. If you're new, my name is Candace, and today we're going to be breaking down the movie scene from Bad Hair. So, Bad Hair is a Hulu original, directed by the same guy, I believe, who did Dear White People. If you've seen that on Netflix, if you haven't, it's pretty interesting. You should check it out. So it's the same guy, and after having been told that, I did see some of the similarities in the way the stories were told. There's a lot of mixed reviews about Bad Hair. Most people, what I've been hearing is people didn't necessarily care for it, care for the execution, which is kind of how I felt about it until it's how I felt about it until my perspective changed. So it went from I kind of would have did things a little more differently. I would have picked different shots, showed things differently, and that's just because that's my preference and how I like to shoot things. And some of it, I just feel like the story would have got across a little better when it looked as outdated as it did. But then it was brought to my attention that the movie was not only set in the late 80s, it was also shot in the style of a movie that was made in the 80s. So that being said, it had changed my whole perspective on how I watched the movie, and things started making more sense. So this isn't a movie review, it's just my opinion on the movie itself. Now we're going to get into the scene. So the scene I picked is a very pivotal scene in the movie. The main character, Anna, she, this is set around the time where weaves first got popular. And black women started getting weaves, especially in the entertainment business. And Anna, the main character, had some traumatic past with her hair, which you see when you first see the movie, like in the beginning. And then, so she does her own hair, and now she's going to get her first weave, her first sewing. And this is this scene is basically the whole experience of her getting it. Now, it was very traumatic for her, and I feel like the way she shot it definitely gets that point across that she was not having a good time getting this sewing. So I'm going to let you guys enjoy the scene, and then I'm going to pick back up with you when you're done watching the scene, and then I'll kind of talk over what I got from it and what I noticed. All right. See you guys in a few.
You're not tender-headed, are you?
I'll be fine.
My mama used to hawk home on me. And she burned the shit out of my skin.
You almost finished? film before?
Okay, so first I'm seeing a close-up shot of the utensils that are being used, and then a close-up shot of Anna kind of looking worried, and she has a flashback talking about her scar that I mentioned earlier when she was younger. And so the actor does really well in looking like she's in pain. There's a lot of cut scenes, so I actually counted. There's over 80 cuts in this scene, and they're all close-ups, maybe 2 medium shots, but they're all close-ups and extreme close-ups. And what close-ups do is they stretch the time, so they do not replicate real time and real perception. They actually slow time down. So in order for this to feel like a long, drawn-out ordeal, when you're shooting, you do a lot of close-ups to basically manipulate time in the scene, and that's what they did. The audio is great. You hear the hair moving around in the parts and stuff like that, and the hair kind of popping. That popping sound when you're parting your hair, and when it's dry. And the whimpering, the whimpering sounds over everything just to solidify that she's in pain even when you're not looking at her. Yeah, the audio in this scene, the ominous music, it all adds to the whole feeling that she's not having a pleasant time. This is not supposed to be a pleasant scene for the viewer and the person experiencing it, because it adds to everything. Like the blood when she got cut with the needle, that doesn't, that really rings that she's not. It just, more things add up to her not having a good time. And these little details and B-roll shots just are to add to the feeling you're trying to portray to the audience. And I think B-roll is very important, because people's attention spans, some editors believe the more cuts the better, and some editors put just the right amount that they feel like is needed to show everything without showing everything in one shot. So these B-roll shots are made to show the details. So the details in Anna's face, the details in the braiding, what the hairstylist is doing that's making Anna, cry and stuff like that. The details of her, she's bleeding now, and Anna's whimpering, and then at some point she faints because she starts having flashbacks of her traumatic experience when she was a child. So, and I think it's really good that they started showing pieces of her traumatic experience that we saw in the beginning of the movie, because like I said, it adds to the mood, it adds to what she's going through right now. She's not just getting her hair done regularly. This is more like, this is traumatic. She hasn't really had anybody in her hair since, which is something that her aunt says before, like in an earlier scene, that nobody's really, been in her hair since then. She hasn't even really done the whole wig thing. So, and as far as color, well, this adds to the thought that this was also shot in a way that it was supposed to portray the late 80s, because there's like a heavy amount of grain in here, like film grain. If you look at more modernly set TV shows and things like that, there's not this much grain in like the skin and the wall in the picture at all. There's not much grain. So they either shot it with a film camera or did the grain in post. And I think I'd have to look up what camera was used for this, because this is definitely This camera is picking things up not as sharp as I've seen other things, but it looks great. The colors look good. They don't look faded, but they aren't really poppy either. Even the bright yellows, they all look kind of tinted, kind of dim. But the whites look white. It's a little cool, I'd say. It's not too warm. That might be to add to the mood of the movie, because it is a horror movie, and horror movies don't do poppy, bright colors really. They usually go with a colder look, a more teal. They usually go heavier on the greens and teals and stuff like that to add to that mood. So okay, I just went over cuts. There wasn't much camera movement here, so I didn't really touch on camera movement in this video. But I went over the cuts, audio, and color, which are 3 things that I believe I have mentioned before in my older video. If you want to see me point this out in other movies and other scenes, don't hesitate to comment or send me a little message on YouTube. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this.